Good evening, everyone. Please welcome Bill Buckwitz to sing America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of green, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Bill. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Night 5 of our celebration of the 100th anniversary of Hibbing High School. My name is Kevin Milani, your MC for the evening. I'm a proud 1974 graduate of HHS. I'll let you do the math. Yes, my class is celebrating our 50th reunion this week. A little about myself before we begin. I worked at Hibbing Community College for 36 years, first as the assistant director of the Palucci Space Theater back in the 80s and 90s, and for the last 25 years of my career as the chemistry instructor. I retired 2 years ago, but have found myself back at the planetarium part-time to help keep the place open. My wife, Ruth Fiore, class of 77, and I have been married for 45 years. We have 3 children, all HHS alums, and 1 granddaughter. So let's begin tonight's program. Tonight we celebrate this magnificent room, the auditorium. A frequent question posed to our Hibbing High School tour guides is, you don't let students in here, do you? The general impression of this theater by people who have never seen it is one of awe. I can directly attest to this. At the beginning of April, I brought a group of planetarium professionals to the high school for a tour. There was a collective gasp from the group when they walked into the auditorium. They, like all others to visit, were told that yes, we do let students in here, and that over the years there have been almost no instances of vandalism to this room by students. They just know how special their auditorium is, and they respect it with little or no direction to do so. Growing up in Hibbing and attending Hibbing High School, I think most of us thought that everyone had a school like this. It wasn't until we graduated and ventured out into the world that most of us realized just how special this place actually is. In a couple of minutes, we'll hear about the history of the auditorium. But first, let me pass on a couple of my own memories. Now, I was in band in high school. I remember a concert on the stage during which a rather embarrassing incident occurred. Our director in the early 70s was Jim Baldrica. During one of our concerts, whatever song we were playing featured a cymbal clash near the beginning of the song. Now, you've all seen cymbals in action. You strike them like so, with a glancing blow. There's a reason for this. On this occasion, the unfortunate percussionist forgot his training and struck them like this. There was an interesting sucking sound as the cymbals suctioned themselves together. Now, this was embarrassing enough, but the worst part came next, as Mr. Baldrica stopped the song. Now, we couldn't believe it. I remember we were just, what has he done? This had never happened before. But of course, Mr. Baldrica, being first and foremost a teacher, recognized a teaching moment. He patiently explained to the audience what had occurred and why, as the percussionist frantically tried to unstick the cymbals. Finally, it was time to start up the song again, and mercifully all went well. One more memory comes from many years later. In the early 2000s, all 3 of my kids were involved with theater productions here in the auditorium. My wife often helped out backstage. On one occasion, I had come to the auditorium late in the afternoon to see how an after-school rehearsal was going. I walked in the door right over here. Everyone was in the middle of a break, the house lights were up. I glanced around looking for my wife. Oh, and I saw her right down here, standing by the rail with a couple of other women. They were talking, looking at the stage. So I thought, well, I'll be sneaky. So I came up behind her and did one of these on her waist. I started laughing, and she snaps around. It wasn't my wife. I stammered out an apology, trying to explain how, no, you look just like Ruth from behind. Just about that same time, Ruth comes wandering out this door right here and comes and joins the fun. And I thought, oh my God. So fortunately, the other woman that she looks at Ruth and says, oh, you do kind of look like me, so I was saying. So tonight, we celebrate this gorgeous theater with people who know and love it intimately. Starting with our youngest presenter tonight, please welcome from the high school class of 2024, Audrey Johnson, to talk about life at Hibbing High School today.
My name is Audrey Johnson and I graduated this past year. During high school, I did a lot in the performing arts and I'd like to share my experience with you. The performing arts were, and still are, incredibly important to me. This last October, the theater department had a major success with the Beauty and the Beast musical, which I played Cogsworth the Clock. I practically lived in this auditorium for 3 months during that time. The success of the show was thanks to Megan Zubich, the musical director. The One Act, a competitive play, has gone to sections these past 2 years, and the spring plays have had a large variety of play style these past few years, and that is thanks to Megan Reynolds. Megan Zubich and Megan Reynolds together have built up the entire theater program from almost nothing. And during my time in high school, I am so grateful that these two amazing women have done so much for me and all the other students in the performing arts. Another performing arts that does not get talked about often is speech. I was in speech for 5 seasons. Those of you that do not know, speech is a competitive fine art where every Saturday, me and my team would travel to other schools to compete. You typically compete in 1 or 2 of the 13 categories and are judged and placed off of different factors, like eye contact, interpretation of the piece, and overall performance. Not all speeches are informative like this one. Most are scripts that are acted out like mini plays. Speech has taught me how to better perform and speak in front of people, good communication skills, and has helped build up my confidence. My first few years of the speech team, there was only about 5 or 6 kids on the team. But the past 2 years, the team has reached numbers of about 20. This is thanks to the incredible head coach, Mrs. Ronning, and the assistants, Mrs. Shiner and Mrs. Zubich. These coaches take time out of their day to help us practice, memorize, and perfect our speeches, along with waking up incredibly early and giving up most of their Saturdays. Overall, performing has really helped me develop who I am as a person, and I wish that it was seen on the same level of greatness and respect as the sports are. I hope that someday the fine arts receive as much recognition as sports. Thank you.
Now, who remembers back in 2002 when NPR did a live broadcast in the morning from the auditorium? Remember? So apparently, when they did that broadcast, they had solicited comments from graduates of Hibbing High School about their memories of the auditorium. And I think they had actually read some on the air. Well, apparently a lot came in after the program aired. And in my hot little hands, I have some of them. So let me read a couple of them to you. I'll do this periodically throughout the night. So first off, we have a memory from Bill Morris from Kewanee. He says, I was a student in the 70s. One of the greatest pleasures I've ever had was working with a short, nondescript man by the name of Mr. Joseph Newman. Who remembers Joe? Joe was the high school stage manager by profession. Every production on this stage was handled as though it was a Broadway show. You see, Joe was a former employee of Paramount Pictures in Hollywood. Our green room was wallpapered with autographed photographs of many people he had worked with and had known personally. Some that I can remember: George Global, Mae West, Tyrone Power, Cass Elliot, Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart. Anyone who was anyone in Hollywood in the 40s and 50s, Joe had known on a first-name basis. He goes on to say, when a wonderful man or friend, Joe would give me passes to get out of study hall to help him. I would take my books to the back of the auditorium, lay on the carpeted floor, and study or daydream that this was my palace. What great memories. And one more from Don Millette. When I brought my family into the auditorium, they were all very impressed. This was put into perspective by my then stepson, Brandon. I should have mentioned Don was living in Owatonna when he wrote this. My stepson, Brandon, age 15, who commented, "Why would anybody want to put something this nice in a high school?" So our next speaker tonight is Bob Carney. Bob graduated from Hibbing High School in 1966. In 1982, he began working at the high school, where he would become the maintenance supervisor. Having access to all the nooks and crannies of the school had its benefits. Bob began to discover the hidden secrets and historical treasures from the school's past concealed inside its walls. As time went on, the items and stories began accumulating, and Bob wanted to ensure that the items and their stories would be safe and shared for future generations, so he began to display the cache of items he found in his office. Over time, the items overtook his office, and it eventually became the historical room we have in the high school today. Throughout his work years, he became not only the high school's caretaker, but its unofficial curator and storyteller. Bob started giving tours while working at Hibbing High School, and has continued to do so for over 30 years. When he retired in 2010, he realized his love of the school and its history remained with him, so he continued to give tours, citing, "The responsibility of telling the stories about this school is given to a few, and I feel privileged to be one of them." Please welcome Bob Carney.
Just so you know, this is the first time I've ever held a mic. I got new hearing aids, and I'm listening to somebody else. It's different. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you about this orchestra pit. I'm not going to tell you about the stained glass. I'm not going to tell you about the videos we used to see when we were young. I'm not going to tell you about dressing room 10. That's a whole different story. I'm not going to tell you about the shadowed people. But if you come on tours, I can tell you all this. But you have to remember, for me, if it's not written down on my calendar, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't anymore. This auditorium was fashioned after an auditorium that had burnt down in New York, and it was called the Capitol Theater. It was a show house. That's what this is. There is only one, and you're sitting in it. There was 1,826 seats. We took out 26 seats when we put in that little brown box. That's computerized lighting and sound. Young kid that's sitting behind, taking care of all the computer, sound, and video, and everything. That's Dustin Davison. He's been doing this for 25 years. And when I come back in another 50 years, he'll still be here. But he's really good at what he does. And he not only knows how to do that, he knows about the stage. So he's valuable. So if I forget to say thank you, I am. Now, the chandeliers, the big ones, they were made in Czechoslovakia and Belgium. Each one weighs about 600 pounds. They come down to seat level to be cleaned. It used to take 2 weeks to clean one because it's all crystal. And ladies, you know crystals are little wires. We had to take each one off and clean it and then put it back. Now they have a product that you can spray and the crystal drips off clean. It's amazing. So it took the man hours and just sliced it. Now, the young ladies on the walls, north and south, depict the arts. It would be art, music, literature, and drama. They drive all the knowledge. They allow imagination. They're so important. I just can't tell you. I guess the big thing, the takeaway from this is that the people that built this, they pretty much did it with these. That's how good they were. So, on a lighter note, I want to introduce a young lady. And she's gonna hide now. She's gonna hide. She's been doing this for about 35 years. And she's 22. She told me I had to say it. She's the best of the best. She's professional. She just is. Victoria Gornick.
Wait, 1 second. I'm not good at this because I normally don't speak in public. I just play. And usually in a balcony where no one can see me, which I really like a lot. So much better. Show up in my bathrobe, nobody knows. Coffee. Anyway, I have a little bit of history for you tonight on this organ. Welcome, what a nice audience. And thanks for inviting a Chisholm chick to come and speak to you. Several of my friends told me I must mention the word Chisholm several times, so I'll just, once in a while, just randomly throw it out, so Chisholm. We have a nice auditorium too, but this is, it's spectacular, and the pipe organ. The grand opening for this auditorium was on January 28th, 1924. I've always heard that there were 2 organs in the world like this, supposedly one in Europe and this one, but rumor has it that there's another one. However, we don't know the location, so I can't really speak about that one. The original organ cost $26,000 and was on a hydraulic lift, which ended up being, well, it would rise from the basement, come up, but it was deemed a little bit maybe dangerous. So it was removed and now it's just solid here, which is probably better, I'm sure. Bernard Cowham was an organist with the Barton Organ Company, and he came here to play the instrument, not this one, but the one that was here before. He came to play the instrument for the grand opening, and in the early 50s, an organist from Palm Beach, Florida, whose name was Frank Stanley, was hired by the city to play the high school organ, as well as an electronic organ at the Android. He did many concerts throughout the 50s and early 60s. In 1974, Norbert Bergsdorf, a highly trained and highly skilled organ builder, came to Hibbing. He was originally from Germany, lived in Wisconsin, and he converted the original theater organ that was here into a more classic style. This organ has a traditional design with a roll-top desk, 2 manuals, a pedal board, 1,949 pipes. Some of the pipes are 1.5 inches long, I've seen them. Some are 26 feet long. And if you have a really long pipe, when you hear my bass pedals, you'll know that it's a really long pipe because it's a really low tone. But those little tiny skinny pencil ones are the ones that are really shrill and very high pitched, and probably all the dogs in the neighborhood go, you know, like this when I play. So, but they're very high pitched, and I'm just gonna throw this out at you. When they give tours here, they don't take people up into the organ, the pipe rooms anymore. There's one up there behind that screen, and then there's one up here behind this screen, and there are pipes and instruments, and I will demonstrate some of the instruments on this organ, but there are actual instruments up there. You can't go and look anymore because they don't let anybody up there. But about 5 years ago, Karen Sunderman came here from Duluth, WDSE, and we did a slice. If you've ever seen those slices on Channel 8, I'm a slice. So if you Google my name, Vicki Gornick, Vicki with an I, and just write the slice, it will come up, and you can watch that. And there is film that we took when we went up there, so you can actually see see the actual instruments. There's a marimba and some chimes, and they used to have a piano up there too, so I could actually press a stop down on the organ. It would say piano on it. And the organ was connected to the piano. There were like hammers over the keys on the piano. So if I played the organ, it would play the piano up there, which is, it's such a feat of engineering. You can't even believe this thing. It's amazing. But they had to take the piano out because, as you know, pianos they have to be regulated, and the humidity has to be right, and they're kind of temperamental, and the temperature has to be good, and if it doesn't, if it's not taken care of, it sounds terrible. So they just removed it. No more piano. But everything else is still up there. Even castanets, you'll hear those. So I just wanted to mention that, but if you want to check out that slice, Google my name in the slice, and then you can see the little video of it, and it's pretty interesting. The new organ had 10 new wind chests, 17 new ranks. A rank is like the sound of an instrument, like a rank of a trumpet rank or an oboe rank or violin or whatever. And it's an electric console with solid state combination action. If I explained that to you, I'd be here till tomorrow, so just trust me, it works, it's good. And the organ chambers were paneled. Everything has to be very closely watched temperature-wise for the pipes. Insulation is necessary. The heat has to be pretty much regulated. Pipes are made of wood or tin alloy, and the wood really, if it's humid, they really get out of tune. So you have to really take care of these things. With all the upgrades, I read a number that this upgrades when this organ was rebuilt in 1974, it was $200,000. And it's now a suitable instrument that can play Bach to Queen. So, this is my favorite story. Virgil Fox, my total organ hero, was here in 1965. He came to do a concert. He stayed with my friends, Dr. French and his wife, Barbara. Barbara and I were on the original Organs in Review Committee back in 1984, I believe we started. I was the youngest one on the committee, so I'd go to these meetings with these older people that, okay, I'm now that age, and I don't feel that old, but yeah, but I thought they were really old, but whatever. So we'd go to French's house and have a meeting, and then Dr. French would come in the living room and he'd say, anyone ready for a tall, cool one? I love those meetings, those were good. But when he came here to stay with French's, he arrived in his cape. He had rhinestone buckles on his organ shoes. I have to tell you, I wear special shoes for playing the organ because I play a whole keyboard of pedals. I play a whole keyboard with my feet. Don't ask me how. But he had rhinestone buckles on his shoes, and he was very flashy. And he complained about the organ. This is before this one was here. It's the old one. So he complained a little bit about the organ not being maybe up to shape, up to snuff or whatever. And so he encouraged the community to find a benefactor to finance the restoration of this organ, which did take place in 1974. I was 10 when he was here. I knew who he was. We had Virgil Fox organ records. I listened to them a lot. It was so inspiring. I didn't even want to take organ lessons. I wanted to be a veterinarian. And my mother put the kibosh on that. Well, I'll just tell you what she said. This is my mother talking now, okay? She said, well, you have to reach your arm up the cow's butt to pull the calf out. And I was just like, no, sorry, but quote. And I thought maybe those organ lessons aren't so messy, so that's what I stuck with. But I knew who he was, and he really inspired me to practice more and become a better musician and focus more on my organ music, and I really began to love it. So for this concert, my parents had 3 tickets, and my sister is 21 years older than me. And I was 10, and I had already taken 4 years of organ lessons, and I knew who this was and I wanted to go. And they took my sister, left me at home with my little brother and the neighbor lady, and I'm still not right, okay? So anyway, if you have a couple minutes, I will demonstrate some sounds for you. For those really low pipes, I gotta turn this baby on too. That'll be good. You can hear the wind. There are big motors up there, big blower motors that push wind through the pipes. And if I depress a key, a little thing opens up at the bottom of the pipe in the wind chest, and it sounds. So you think of, if I played a big chord of, well, let me just show you. A big chord. A real big one. That's a lot of wind being pushed through the pipes. So whoever builds these organs has to figure out the cubic, I don't know. They have to figure out how much wind goes into a pipe so that it will sound. And it's a feat of engineering. I said it before, it's so true. But I direct the Blessed Sacrament Choir, and I've told them before that our human voice, the pipe organ is the closest thing to our voice. We have bellows, like the wind blower up there. We have lungs, we have a voice box, we have a mouth. We're like a pipe. So sometimes when I'm directing them, I'll tell them that it's just like directing a little pipe organ, and I think they like that, so that's fine. Okay, so you heard that. If I play a pedal note, this would be one of those really, really low 26-foot pipes up there. I'm trying to get a good one. That's also a lot of wind. Kind of like me. Sorry. And then, there are the toys. So, we have chimes, a harp, which is actually more like small bells, but it's sort of harp-like, a xylophone, it's a real xylophone, orchestra bells, there they are, really light, tambourine, castanets, woodblock, tom-tom, a snare drum, so if you're playing theater organ music and you need other instruments, but you don't have people here to play with you, you got a whole band right on the side. There is also a bass, there's a bass drum. And I've used that when I've played Battle Hymn of the Republic. It's kind of an interesting sound. A cymbal. And the best one of all, I've saved this for last because I can. It's the bird whistle. I won't be using that with my Bach piece, but you can picture it. It's very, it's pretty authentic. Okay, well, I think that's about all I have to say. I don't know where Bob went. But I think I'm supposed to, am I supposed to introduce him? Because he's going to talk about the ghost in chair J47. And I've practiced in here so many times by myself, he's never bothered me. But I did go there once it was hot in here, July. It was hot and humid in here, and Chuck Perry showed me his seat, and it was really hot and humid, and I put my hand down in the seat, and it was freezing cold. So, there it is. Are you ready?
No. Okay. But thanks for asking. I've given tours of this auditorium for over 30 years. I normally don't tell the story of the ghost. There's a reason. I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure if I believe it or not. I can tell you how it happened. 3 young girls had a Kodak camera, and they wanted to take a couple pictures of how the seats were kind of lined up for art. So they were over by J47. Now, Dustin, can you raise the lights a little bit so we can see where J47 is? Because that's really important. Yeah. She's sitting on the guy's lap. So, they came over. They had a Polaroid. If you're older, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're younger, you don't. You remember the cartridges that we used to put in, and then we'd pull out one picture after it snapped, and then you'd wait 15, 20 seconds, and then it was all developed. That's exactly what they did. They took a picture, and it was an angle like this of J47. Well, they waited 15 seconds. They opened it up. They got a guy sitting there with kind of an Indiana Jones hat, a 30s hat. He was just kind of sitting there. He probably middle-aged, beard, mustache, looked like a fairly good-looking guy. And he looked like he had a little coat on, and he was just sitting there. The problem was that you could see through him. So the girls thought it was either a double exposure or it was something that was left in the camera. They didn't know. Well, they took another picture. They got the same guy sitting there. So they dropped everything. The pictures, the camera, they took off. Chuck Perry, who happened to be the stage manager at the time, Chuck's a very talented guy. They would use him all over the district. So he came back, he saw the camera, picked up the camera, picked up both pictures, and brought them in his office. And he looked at the pictures, and then he put them in a folder. Do you remember he waited about 5 years. And then all those programs came on where they had all the paranormal, school spirits, everything. Well, if you know Chuck, he took pictures of those pictures and sent them in. Well, they came here. I met them in the hall. And believe me, they're serious. They spent a lot of money on the equipment. They asked if they could come in here for 2 hours, shut down everything. There was nothing going on. There was no reason why they wouldn't, and I didn't really think too much about it. So, the 2 hours ended. I met the young lady out in the hall. I said, well, how many ghosts? She said, Mr. Carney, you have lots of ghosts. I mean, really, what do you say to that? So, I said, well, how do you know that? They said, well, we have film of orbs coming down these aisles. I said, oh, maybe it's just kids that didn't get a chance to graduate. She didn't think that was funny at all. So I did end up apologizing. But I asked her, I said, okay, what about J47? Is J47 real? And she said, yes. I said, how can you say that? She said, I mean, when she started to talk to me, she was probably 30, and I was much older. And I felt like I was 10. And she said, would you like me to explain it to you? And I said, yes. She took me over to J47. She said, you see the angle? And I said, yes. She said, did you look at the first picture? I said, yes. She said, you remember seeing the clock in the balcony? In the center of the balcony, there's a clock. Okay, the clock was like this. The second picture, the clock was like this. About 12, 13 minutes passed, placing the object in real time. I have no idea what that means. But she seemed to think it was enough to say it was real. So, I can't tell you. I can neither confirm or deny the existence of ghosts. I can tell you my name is Bob Carney. I'm your tour guide. That's it. You make your own decision. But if you come on a tour and you don't ask about the ghost, I'm not going to tell you about it. And there's more. There's dressing room 10. There's the shadow people. There's a whole bunch. When you become 100, you know about the ghosts. I mean, every one of you has experienced this. When you're walking, and all of a sudden you see a flash on your side, and you turn and nothing is there. And you know you saw something, but it's not there. So, think about it. Victoria, join us.
I don't think that, oh, they're red. You'll probably find this to be appropriate now after that speech.
Hey, just hang on. I've got to introduce you. Don't get carried away. Vicki and I have known one another forever. Before I introduce you, I'm reading two more little stories, so just hang on. Okay, two more little stories from back 22 years ago. This one comes from Mary Schittler from Grand Rapids. She said, as a kid, my parents and I used to drive over to Hibbing from Grand Rapids to attend the community concert series. One time, a classical guitarist was the performer. Man was not very animated and did not speak very much at all. After the second piece, Dad and I fell fast asleep. Mom said it was a good concert and that we didn't snore hardly at all. And this one is from Kathy Overland, who at the time was living in Duluth. She says, I have many memories about Hibbing High School as a scrawny little 7th and 8th grader in the early 1960s. My most vivid memory is an on-stage performance in the auditorium as part of a speech presentation class. I was in 8th grade and thrilled to be chosen by my speech teacher to give my humorous anecdotes about summer church camp for the entire student body. As I recall, there were a number of us that day, some of us lounging on a couch on stage before a sea of faces. When it was my turn, I began nervously. However, when the laughter began, I became bolder. I became hooked as the audience responded. I threw all the excitement and energy I had into the flashlight down the outhouse bit, the Spam food fights. And when it came time to talk about the campfire sing-alongs, I suddenly decided to change my tune. I knew exactly what would play to that house. In my very loudest voice, I exclaimed, And we all sat around the campfire singing hymns like, "Does everybody here like Victor's beer?" It brought down the house. I had no idea what I had done except to make people laugh. It was the greatest feeling in the world to a very naive and shy little 8th grade girl who knew nothing at all about beer. I basked in the glory of it until I looked over and saw the horror in my speech teacher's face. I never did find out what the principal said to her afterwards. So, Vicki Gornick. What can be said about Vicki? Vicki is a graduate from Chisholm High School in 1974. Now, 1974, realized that's the same year as me. But as I endlessly love pointing out to Vicki, she's older than I am. This year marks the 35th year Vicki has played our beautiful organ at the Hibbing High School commencement ceremony. She's a graduate of UMD with a BA in music and has had further organ study at the Sibelius Academy in Helsinki, Finland. She was named Finlandia Foundation National Performer of the Year in 2001 and has presented concerts across the United States. She's also performed in Finland, Sweden, and Canada. She's the organist for 2 churches, directs the Blessed Sacrament Choir, and maintains a studio in Chisholm for private piano and organ study. She is the program director for Organs in Review, now in its 40th season. Vicki is a member of the American Guild of Organists, and she is a Northern Lights Music Festival board member. Ladies and gentlemen, Vicki Gornick.
just a comment about the next piece I'm going to play. It's the Ukrainian national anthem. I have an organist friend that lives in Kiev, and he's Volodymyr Koshuba. He's about 76 now, and his wife Svetlana live in a beautiful home in Kiev. Their daughter Victoria moved to Gdansk, Poland, when the war started, and she was on the cell phone talking to them and crying and begging them to come to Poland and be with her, and they said, no way, we're staying here, we're not leaving our home. And I had messaged him, are you practicing? Can you practice? And he said that they were on their main floors during the day, but they would sleep in the basement. And he said, I'm too stressed to practice. And I said, oh, but practice is so good for you. That's what, you know, it's your outlet. And he said he was just too stressed to practice, which just made me cry. I was just horrified. He sent me a video one morning. They were in their garden, and it was dark, but I could hear the bombs going off, and I could see flashes of light. And he wrote on there, he sent a message with this video that said that all 11 Russian bombs were taken down by American Patriot missiles. And he thanked America. So anyway, he has been to Hibbing twice. He played, I arranged concerts for him at Blessed Sacrament. He played here in 2009 and then again in 2015. He's very accomplished. And when this horrible war started, he sent this music to me. And so I just learned it right away, and I came over here and recorded it. And Matt Berg of the band here got wind of it. And so he invited me to come and play this with their band a couple of years ago in the spring band concert, which was it was really a thrill. It's somewhere on the internet, you can find it. It was fun playing with those kids. They did a great job. But anyway, I know there was a bombing of a children's hospital the other day, and I didn't really plan on playing this, but after that happened, I thought, I think I'm just gonna do the national anthem for Ukraine. It's very strong. They're okay. I get a joke or something from him every day. I know they're okay, but it's unbelievably stressful and so scary. And their national anthem is unbelievably strong. From my favorite musical, Phantom of the Opera by Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's a little medley I put together of all the biggest hits. At the risk of going over my time limit, I'm going to skip my next piece. It was Bohemian Rhapsody. Seriously? Are you not bored? Just want to let you know that these keys are really sticky. I think it's the humidity in here, and I'm just a little nervous about this, but okay. your indulgence. I really did want to play it because it just sounds amazing on a pipe organ, but thank you. This is quick. I have to end with patriotic, okay? All right.
You know, we had to prevent them from getting the hook out, Vicki. I love teasing her. Nobody plays the organ like Vicki. Wonderful. So, two more little stories, last two of the evening, before I introduce our next speaker. So this one, from Elaine Elms, about the 1964 high school graduation. She says, I was in the high school ushering staff during my junior year in high school, along with my best friend, Linda Goldfein. This club would usher for events, including high school graduations. One of the students in the class of 64 was David Zimmerman, Bob Dylan's brother. Dylan was coming to the event but did not want to attract attention. Linda, who was Bob and David's first cousin, and I were assigned the job of guarding the area where Bob and his family would sit. We were assigned the back area of the second aisle. A little bit before the graduation ceremony was to begin, we were to close the very large velvet draperies, telling last-minute arrivals to use another aisle. Bob Dylan came in after everyone was seated. Linda and I swept open the curtains for Bob to sneak through, then shut them, not letting any late arrivals enter. At the end of the ceremony, our job was to make sure Bob was out of the auditorium and on his way before others knew he was there. Who knows, maybe he's here tonight. And lastly, this is from Mary Kay Jacobson from Deer River. She says, my first experience in the Hibbing High School auditorium was when my father was to begin his tenure as superintendent of schools there. We attended a production of Growing Pains, written by Hibbing Don Peterson. It was the musical story of the Iron Range, Hibbing in particular. And it was absolutely magical for a young teenager used to seeing theater on the stage of the high school gymnasium in southern Minnesota to see it in this magnificent theater. How true. Our next speaker is Michelle Severson. Michelle is a 1985 graduate of Hibbing High School. After completing her degree in Business Administration and Finance at the University of Wisconsin-Superior, Michelle moved back to Hibbing. She has owned her own business in Hibbing, Severson Financial, for the last 35 years. Michelle was crowned the Winter Frolic Queen in 1985. Little did you know that when longtime Winter Frolic director Thelma Matson retired, she would convince Michelle to take over as the new director of Hibbing Winter Frolic, a title she would hold for nearly 20 years. Please welcome Michelle Severson with memories of Hibbing Winter Frolic.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I would like to welcome everyone to the beautiful Hibbing High School Auditorium. Yes, I am also alum of Hibbing High School. As Kevin said, I am a 1985 graduate, and I use his calculator, and I am also 35 years old. I would like to start by thanking the board of directors that put on this fabulous event for everyone to enjoy. I am the first one to admit how much work it is to do something like this, and it's been great to see the turnout and everybody support the event and come and enjoy all the activities. Thank you all for being here tonight to help us celebrate 100 years of this amazing school. The school has been a huge part of our community, and we are also blessed to have this exceptional school to attend. The building, the teachers, and the faculty were the best in the nation. I'm here to talk to you today about the school and how it has enriched our community. Everyone in Hibbing was lucky to have this amazing auditorium to hold events at, and we were always so proud and honored to be able to use it. And as you have heard tonight, everybody that has come to the auditorium is just in awe over its beauty. I was the chairperson of the Winter Frolic since 1995 until 2014. And it was an honor to be able to serve the community as chairperson of the Winter Frolic. Our festival was the longest standing community organization in Hibbing, and it was all done by a group of very hardworking volunteers. We put on a week-long festival in Hibbing during the coldest week in the year. Yes, the first week in February. Many events got canceled. It was kind of a shooting match to see what would happen and what wouldn't, because you never know how the winters are going to go in Minnesota. 16 high school senior girls were selected to represent the Hibbing Winter Frolic at all civic events during that week, culminating with the Hibbing Winter Frolic coronation that was held in this beautiful auditorium. I would like to give you a brief history of the Hibbing Winter Frolic to those of you that might not have followed it back to 1951. Warren Norman started the Winter Frolic in 1951, and he served to 1962. And in 1962, Warren handed the event over to David Oxman. David served from 1963 to 1986. The last year David emceed the Winter Frolic coronation was on Valentine's Day in 1985. It was a very vivid memory for me. because I was crowned the Hibbing Winter Frolic Queen that evening in 1985. It was an honor that made such an incredible impact on my life. That was definitely one of those moments that changed the trajectory of my life. I will never forget standing on the stage when David stood across from me and said, "Our next Winter Frolic Queen is standing right across from me, and her name is Michelle Buckwitz." I had no idea the year that was in store for me. We had a record number of ribbon cuttings, and I represented the city and parades all over northern Minnesota, to just name a few of the highlights. I served with the Titan of Taconite, Al Zidane, and my princesses were Susie Brzezinski and Lisa Barato. David retired from Winter Frolic the following year, and he was honored for his service to the Hibbing Winter Frolic Board by being selected as the Titan of Taconite in 1987. David served as the stage director and the MC of the event until 1985, and after that time, other MCs that served were Vern Wentberg, Al Reller, Mike Carlson, our very own Dan Marich, the voice of Hibbing, and Scott Hansen. Thelma Matson served as the Queen Chairwoman of Winter Frolic from 1962 to 1993. She was the longest serving chairwoman, and her dedication and commitment to the Winter Frolic and the city of Hibbing spanned over 3 decades. Many say Thelma was the heart of Winter Frolic, and I truly believe that that is so. She was such an amazing lady, and always maintained the tradition, the quality, the integrity, and the pride that she had in that event. Prior to Thelma serving as the Queen Chairwoman, Irene Bedard and Vera Horn also served. Here's a little fun fact. In 1970, the 1970s, Thelma and Dave brought the nationally syndicated dating game to the Hibbing Winter Frolic. The winning couple on the dating game won a trip to Hibbing to attend the Hibbing Winter Frolic coronation. Geez, let's go to the coldest place in the country and have a nice date. I always wondered, did they have a second date, or was that it? In 1962, the Hibbing Winter Frolic started honoring a gentleman in our community, and they called him the Titan of Taconite. He was honored based upon the service in his community, someone who has always put service above self. I did see one of my past Titans, Carl Schneider, in the audience. Thank you for coming, and I hope there are more. Our first Titan of Taconite was Bus Andy, or Andy Anderson. Andy started the first bus line that went from Hibbing to Alice in 1914. He started with one bus. He figured that miners would make a good mass transit customer. The line flourished, and it would grow into what is known today as the Greyhound bus line. The Greyhound buses were the most recognized buses in the country, and they traveled from one end of the country to the other. Needless to say, Bus Andy later retired as a millionaire. The Titan of Taconite serves as the escort for the Queen, attending civic functions with the Queen and princesses. The first Queen was Shelley Ann Ryder. She was crowned in 1941, and that time it was the Miss Hibbing pageant. The Miss Hibbing pageant later grew into the Hibbing Winter Frolic pageant, and the Hibbing Winter Frolic Queen also served as Miss Hibbing during her reign. The first Winter Frolic Queen was Harriet Wold Wesley in 1951. I was a friend of Harriet's daughter, Luann, and I went to Harriet's house one time, and I saw this beautiful picture on the wall of Harriet wearing a tiara, and I hadn't realized that she was our first Winter Frolic Queen. So I asked Harriet if she was a Winter Frolic Queen, and she proudly said, yes, I was the first one. Winter Frolic was big on tradition, and that tradition of presenting our queens with a portrait of themselves during their reign was a tradition that Thelma always carried forward. My mother still has my queen picture up in the living room, And it has a beautiful gold frame that was imported from Italy. The Queen contestants were judged by anonymous out-of-town judges, and they were judged based on poise, personality, intelligence, and community involvement. All royalty was awarded scholarships to further their education. Dave and Thelma also started the Winter Frolic coronation for senior citizens in 1973, and Santa Amistadi, and it was the Queen, and the King was Arnold Ellingson. There was also a Little Mr. and Miss Irongate pageant that was organized at the Irongate Mall, as well as a snowball dance that was organized by Ilona Carney for adults with disabilities. The Winter Frolic tried to plan events for everyone in the community and to enjoy. I'm sure you all recall the annual Winter Frolic treasure hunt. That was a family favorite. And to answer many of your questions, Dan Bergen was the gentleman that wrote the clues. He was our English literature teacher here at the beautiful Hibbing High School, and he did an amazing job. He put countless hours into this, and he would go out in the middle of the night and hide the treasure so nobody could follow him. And we just had so many fun stories with Dan and the treasure. One time I called him, and we announced the winner on the coronation on Friday, and I called Thursday and the treasure hadn't been found, and I said, Dan, I've got it narrowed down to 2 spots, but I can't figure out where it is. And I said, will you tell me? And he said, well, I don't know, can I trust you? And I said, well, of course you can trust me. I would never tell anyone. And he said, really? And I said, yes, your word is safe. And he said, no, I can't tell. So he sucked me all in for nothing. The winners won a $1,000 savings bond, and there was one year that the treasure wasn't found, and it did increase to a $2,000 savings bond the following year. The Winter Frolic Fun Day at the Greenhaven High School, the Greenhaven Elementary School, was always a huge success. Brian Carriage from the Hibbing Parks and Recreation put on the most wonderful Winter Frolic Fun Day. He organized snowmobile rides, horse-drawn sleigh rides, sled dog rides, a kitty treasure hunt, ice bowling, a puck contest, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, snow house building, mini golf, and many more activities that also included an outdoor barbecue in February. Mike Carlson brought back the Hibbing Winter Frolic Fishing Contest in 1996, and what a success that was. Mike did a wonderful job, and everyone that attended had a great time. One thing that I have learned doing all of this is, if you want to plan events in winter, fishermen are really the only people that will come out any time of day. It can be 40 below, it can be in the middle of a blizzard, and the fishermen show up. I wish it was like that for every event, but boy, you could really count on the fishermen. And we had beautiful prizes, and it was a lot of fun. Craig Holgate organized an illuminated ski at the Kerry Lake ski trails. In 1994, Thelma called past royalty together for a royal reunion as she knew her time with Winter Frolic was coming to a close. You could see the community pride and the love for Winter Frolic with a number of past queens and titans that attended an elegant party at the Hibbing Country Club. It was a wonderful reunion, and it was great to see how Winter Frolic had inspired all of the following queens, all of the former queens. They went on to find success in many different careers in their lives and many different paths. Winter Frolic was a very positive influence in their lives, and it helped to instill self-confidence. It was exciting to be part of such an amazing group of women. Thelma was all about the contestants and making a difference in their lives. It did not only impact the royalty, it was a very positive experience for all 16 contestants that participated in the program. It was very hard to explain the difference that Winter Frolic made in the lives of the young women that served. So I would like to read some highlights of a speech from our 2002 Winter Frolic Queen, Casey Capella. Casey writes, "Last year, as the Winter Frolic Queen has been one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. I'm incredibly honored to be part of Hibbing's proud history. I would like to take the opportunity to encourage young women to participate in the pageant. I feel most young women, as I was a year ago, are unaware of the tremendous opportunities that this pageant offers its participants. The Winter Frolic experience was not only a time to have fun and forge friendships, but also the opportunity to gain a greater understanding of Hibbing's spirit and pride. Because of celebrations such as Winter Frolic, Hibbing, despite economic struggles, continued to exude a deep sense of community pride. I could not fully appreciate this until I was honored the title of Winter Frolic Queen. Helping me realize this pride were the business owners and the upcoming leaders of Hibbing, men and women who believe in the city enough to invest in it, their time, money, and family. As Queen, I had the privilege of spending a year meeting and greeting and congratulating these types of people, representing the city of Hibbing in an experience that was most inspiring. Another benefit to meeting the influential people is that in turn, I was given the opportunity to gain many mentors as well as friends. One of my mentors was the 2002 Titan of Taconite, Dr. Ben Owens. He continues to offer his knowledge and advise me on college and career avenues. However, even if I had not the opportunity to reign with Dr. Ben Owens, the Hibbing Winter Frolic committee members themselves have been there to instill confidence in me and skills to succeed. For Hibbing Winter Frolic celebration provides a sense of community pride, but for the young women that are honored with the title of royalty, it provides a lifetime friendships and confidence and memories. Much of Hibbing's pride lies within its history, and for the past 50 years, Winter Frolic has been a part of that history, which is why having won the title of Winter Frolic Queen has been such an honor. It is because of this that I strongly encourage young women to participate in Hibbing Winter Frolic. Your 2002 candidate, Winter Frolic Queen, Casey Capella. Dr. Ben Owens did an excellent job mentoring Casey because Casey is now a family physician at the Hibbing Fairview Clinic, and she did follow in Dr. Ben's footsteps. She and her husband, Dr. Joe Skaya, live here and are raising their family. So we owe a thanks of gratitude to Dr. Ben Owens for his work in bringing in another wonderful physician to our community. The gifts from Dr. Ben just keep coming. After working with Thelma on the reunion, she reached out to me and asked me if I would take over the organization that she built and loved so much. Of course, I said I would give it a try and do my very best to carry on the traditions of Winter Frolic that she and David had worked so hard to build up. I didn't do all of this alone. I had the absolute best people in Hibbing to help me carry on this long-standing festival. We formed a new board of directors in 1985, and we all worked together and had much success that changed the lives of many young women in the community and honored many deserving men as Titan of Taconite. I have had hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses and people volunteer their time to help make this a success over the past 19 years. There are too many for me to list, but I would like to acknowledge the people that did serve on the board of directors from the beginning to end, the full 19 years. It was an honor and a pleasure to work with the following individuals for almost 20 years. Dorothy Meineke, Roberta Rickers, Dan Marich, Dan Bergen, Larry Ryan, Stephanie Carlson, and my mother, Sandy Buckwitz, the button lady. She texted me before I came on stage and she said, "Don't you dare call me the button lady when you're up there." So you know how kids are, you're still my mom. And I still had to say it because you told me not to. Thank you to all of you for your hard work and dedication. You made our community a better place to live. The work that we all did together changed many lives. You were all amazing to work with, and I wouldn't give up a minute of all the time we shared. And to be able to make a difference in the community was wonderful. In 2013, our board of directors disbanded, and we handed Winter Frolic down to a new board of directors. They took the festival in a different direction, and they weren't really given the support of the community due to the direction that they chose. To the best of my knowledge, they haven't had any events since 2020. And if anybody is interested in reviving the festival, please reach out to me. Myself and other board members would be happy to mentor you to take over this wonderful festival and tradition. We want to continue to see Winter Frolic and have it flourish again. The young ladies in our community deserve it, and Hibbing needs it. One person that has always volunteered for Winter Frolic as long as I did is my father, Bill Buckwitz. He is a very talented musician, and he is also a graduate and alum of the Hibbing High School. And if you asked him, he'd say he's 50. Just kidding, Dad. He sang at many of the Winter Frolic events since the year I started taking on this project, and he sang up until the end, and even sang with the new board of directors at the coronation. When he started singing, he originally sang a song to the new queen as she was crowned. He did that for 2 years, and after 2 years, he decided it was time to update our Winter Frolic song. So he wrote a new song for our Winter Frolic queen, and every time the queen was crowned and she walked on the catwalk to accept her award, my dad was there to sing his famous song, our Winter Frolic queen. Thank you to my dad for all the contributions in the many years he supported me, the community of Hibbing, and the Winter Frolic. It is my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you next my father, Bill Buckwitz.
Jeez, that guy's left-handed. I'd like to do a song, somebody who's deserving, and his name is Bob Dylan. Mama, take this thing off of me. I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. And I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. Mama, take these guns in the ground. I can't use them anymore. The cold night cloud is coming around, and I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. Thank you. I was going to try to reminisce with a few old tunes here, and one I'd like to do is Buddy Holly. It's called Raining in My Heart. The sun is out, the sky is blue. There's not a cloud to spoil the view, but it's raining, raining in my heart. The weatherman says clear today. He doesn't know you've gone away, but it's raining, raining in my heart. Oh, misery, misery. What's gonna become of me? I tell my blues they mustn't show, but still the tears are bound to grow when it's raining, raining in my heart. Ooh. Raining in my heart. Ooh, ooh, yes, it's raining, raining in my heart. Oh, misery, misery. What's gonna become of me? I tell my blues they mustn't show, but still these tears are bound to grow, and it's raining, raining in my heart, raining in my heart, raining in my heart. I was going to do 3 or 4 more songs, but I thought, well, I can't punish you people this many times, so I'm going to do at least one more. It's a beautiful song, one of my favorite songs, in fact, over the years, and I'm sure you can relate to it. It's Frankie Avalon's Venus, written by Paulika. Hey Venus, oh Venus, Venus if you will, please send a little girl to burn your thrill. A girl who wants my kisses in my arms, a girl with all the charms of you. Venus, make her fair, a lovely girl with sunlight in her hair, and take the brightest stars up in the sky and place them in her eyes for me. Venus, goddess of love that you are, surely the things that I ask can be too great a time. to give as long as we both shall live. Venus, God is some love that you want. Should be the things that I ask. Get me to greater time. Venus, if you do, I promise that I always will be true. I'll give her all the love I have to give as long as we both shall live. Hey, Venus, oh Venus, make my wish come true. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, do you want no extra songs or one extra songs or what do you want to do? Okay, I'll do one more for you. It's a really pretty tune by a guy that lost his little nephew in a fatal accident, and he wrote the song for his little nephew and when he passed away. And it's called God Will Make a Way. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely by his side. With love and faith for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely by his side. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadway in the wilderness, he leads me. Rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but his words will still remain. And he will do something new today. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely by his side. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. That's it. Done.
Well, thanks for your patience, everybody. We're going to start our portion off of the concert with our national anthem. So I'm sure you would appreciate standing and stretching at this point. Please rise as you are able for our national anthem. Thank you for that. So tonight, as we commemorate the 100th anniversary of Hibbing High School, it's only fitting that we begin with a piece of music that captures the spirit and celebration and festivity of this event. Our piece is called Celebration Fanfare, and it perfectly embodies the joy and the pride we feel as we honor a century of excellence in education, community, and tradition. This is Celebration Fanfare. Our next composition was written as a tribute to band conductors who have reached their golden years of conducting. And as you listen to the Golden Baton March, I'm going to urge you to envision the generations of band students who have played on this very stage. Under directors like Jim Baldrica, Dave Lepinen, Dick Stoike, Clyde Hill, Amy Dahl, Dick Bear, Chet Johnson, our own Chris Furlong, David Hill, Matt Berg, our current band director, and our beloved Art Hill. Their passion and commitment to music education has left lasting impacts on countless students and resonates with every single note of this march. This is the Golden Baton March. of get a little personal on this story here. Our next song is Finlandia. It was composed in 1899 by composer Jean Sibelius, and it's the ultimate expression of Finnish people's desire for independence under Tsarist Russia. The first part of the piece is dark, and it presents the oppressive struggle that the Finnish people had to deal with. And as the music gains momentum, strength, each gesture is punctuated by stirring fanfares that you're going to hear in the brass section. This ultimately leads to the very memorable Finlandia hymn, which itself grows ever more triumphant. As a former high school band director and Hibbing City Band director, Art Hill recently shared a memorable story with me about this piece when I was visiting with him in the hospital just a couple days ago. He told me he performed this piece of music with the city band, but felt that the musicians were much too gentle with the piece of music, and they needed to be nastier to capture the essence of this piece. He then went on to share that he had also performed the piece with his high school band, one of his high school bands, and he felt that the high school band did a better job performing it. We shared a couple of quiet moments as he kind of reflected on all of this. But then I had to humorously poke him and tell him, of course this made sense. He was always much meaner as a high school band director than he ever was as a city band director. You should have seen the look he gave me. And then we both burst out laughing. I told him, undoubtedly, this shaped their understanding of the piece and allowed them to convey the piece's nasty intensity. And like I said, we both had a good laugh over it. I asked Art if there was one piece of music that he would want to hear if he were here tonight, what it would be. And he told me, Finlandia. When I asked him why do you want this piece? Are you playing favorites with the Finns? He laughed and he said, no, Julie, it's just beautiful. So tonight we're going to play Finlandia for a very, very special band director, Art Hill. We're going to give another crack at this, and hopefully the city band rises to the occasion this time. We're not going to be outdone by some high school band. Okay, we're gonna slow things down a little bit because my glasses are fogging up as I speak here. As we gather here this evening, we're reminded of the countless memories and milestones that have defined our community over the past century. Sentimental Journey, a timeless classic originally made famous by Doris Day, captures the essence and reflection and nostalgia. Jim Baldrica, one of the former band directors here at Hibbing High School, left an indelible mark on our school's musical legacy, and he formed his own swing band and aptly named it Sentimental Journey, which became renowned and well known for its heartfelt and dynamic performances. Sentimental Journey also reflects the emotional landscape of high school life, like friendships and challenges, the triumphs and the moments of bittersweet farewells, as students embark on new adventures. As we listen to this next piece, we're reminded of the journey each student takes through the halls of this beautiful high school, Hibbing High School, carrying forward the lessons, memories, and spirit of this remarkable institution. Join us on this sentimental journey, honoring our past and celebrating the bright future ahead for Hibbing High School and all of its students. next piece is a piece called Liberty. If you were able to take in any of the concerts earlier our season, this is a new piece to our band, but it's really beautiful. The reason I chose to program it tonight, even though we had played it before, we get to play in this auditorium, that's awesome. And it is beautiful, and that is what music is about. That is what music education is about. It's about bringing out beauty in the arts and rounding us out as human beings. This piece, Liberty, was written by a man named Rosano Galante, but it is about freedom and liberty. it's warm in here and the night's been long. Do you have time for just one more? All right. We'll make it worth your while. Our final for tonight's celebratory concert encapsulates the spirit of resilience and continuity that defines the Hibbing High School's century-long journey. Just as the song's lyrics affirm that life does indeed go on, the celebration of this milestone reminds us of the school's enduring impact, resilience through the challenges, and the vibrant community spirit that continues to thrive. Written by the Beatles, we hope you enjoy this one, Obla Dee, Obla Da. Thank you so much for being such a fantastic audience. I know it's been a long night, but we love to play for a group like this. I hope you will continue to join us through the rest of the week. All you alum can plan on marching on Saturday in the Alumni Marching Band. And yeah, we're ready. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie, and the City Band. That concludes our program for the evening. Thank you to all the performers, the speakers for the night. Thank you for coming this evening. There will be a brief reception right out through the side doors here in the athletic area. Please come again tomorrow evening. And also, I just want to extend a special invitation. If you come tomorrow night, then you can come afterwards to the Palucci Space Theater between 10 and 11:30. Members of the Range Astronomy Club will be there with telescopes to look at the crescent moon, a dim comet, and Lord knows what else. So, thank you all for coming. Good night.